Gayle Lynds. Hi, how are you today?
Oh, nice to be here.
Well, Gayle, you are a New York Times best-selling author, and you write thrillers.
Yes.
Why? Why do you write thrillers?
I love them.
You love them?
I adore them. I started as a literary short story writer, and I published quite a few, and at the same time I had an opportunity to write male pulp fiction.
Yeah.
So I did those. Those were in the old Nick Carter series. It's about 100 years old. And the blending of the two fascinates me. And I've always loved politics. I've always loved culture. And I've been fascinated by why the world works the way it does at the political level. So to write international spy thrillers was a natural outgrowth to me in my own strange thought processes.
Well, now, where in the world do you get all of your ideas?
That's a great question. I actually, before I was writing short stories, I was an editor in a think tank, and I had top secret security clearance.
Really?
So that introduced me to the world of espionage and secrets and analysis and all kinds of sort of very interesting parts of our world that most people are not privileged to see. That whetted my appetite, and I made some contacts there and continued throughout the rest of my career to maintain friendships in the community. And I do a tremendous amount of research. Inadvertently, when you do as much research as I do, you become something of an expert, although that's not something I would ever put myself out as. I'm not truly an expert, but I know a great deal.
And you have a lot of friends in the business then, in the covert business, I suppose.
Yes. The intelligence world, as we sometimes call it.
Right, right.
Or IC, intelligence community.
Right. What sort of themes run through your work? I know you've written 8 novels, right?
Yes, I think that's right. I'd have to sit down and figure them out. Primarily, I talk about secrets. All of us have experienced in our families what a family secret can do. It's like the 2,000-pound gorilla living in the middle of the house, and everybody's dodging and walking away from it. But it impacts everything in the family, one way or another, because it's unspoken. It's true of governments, too.
Really?
Governments must keep secrets. It is utterly necessary, unfortunately, in the world in which we live, that secrets be kept. But there's a price for that. And some secrets that should never be kept, they should be revealed to the world. And where's the line? Who makes these decisions? What's the cost to the people involved? So that is one of the themes that runs through my work consistently. Another theme, believe it or not, is resurrection and salvation. I'm very interested in people who pull themselves up by the bootstraps, who make mistakes, figure out that they've done something wrong, try to make amends, and find a core of courage that they didn't realize was there. I think we need to see more of that today.
Yes,
so I like to write about it.
Yes, well, that's probably why you're so popular today. Tell us about your journey to become a published author. I mean, was it easy? Was it hard?
It was interesting. I call it my checkered past. As I said, I started with literary novels, and I moved into the male adventure, pulp fiction, really. I was a newspaper reporter, I was a magazine editor, I raised children, I ran a household, I did work for hire books. It was not until the mid-90s that I was in a position where I felt that my skills were strong enough and I could take a deep breath and do what I wanted to do. And that was to write international thrillers. I like to think of them, it's a big canvas, I can do anything.
Right.
Yes, there are some conventions, and the most important convention, at least in my mind, is to tell a rousing good story. I want people to have a good time in my books.
Oh, that's good. I was going to ask you, what do you want people to walk away with?
I want them to have a good time. And I think at the end, my son said something to me once which really touched me. He said, Mom, when I finish reading your books, he's, by the way, an international lawyer, so he's no kid. He said, when I finish reading your books, I feel smart.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, now, you've been likened to people like Robert Ludlum. I mean, how does that feel, Gayle?
It's pretty amazing. PW has listed their top 10
Right.
most important books of all time, or thrillers of all time, and they list one of mine. And I'm looking at Robert Ludlum, I'm looking at John Le Carre, and Graham Greene, and Frederick Forsyth, and Helen McGinnis, and I'm thinking, wow.
Did you ever think that all of this would happen to you?
No, for me it's always been the book, the book, the book. The book is what matters, and then you hope and you pray that the business, the industry will support, which one is what I'm doing, what all of us as authors are doing.
Well, and that brings me to another point, and that is it's so difficult today for a new author to break in. Do you have any advice for those who are struggling?
I think one way to look at what's going on now is that it is a hazing process. And there are a lot of people with talent, but they don't have the stomach for the business. And it's really important to know that about yourself, because if you don't have the stomach, that way you can make a conscious choice. Do I want to continue? I have a lot of respect, and I hope the world does, for writers who write for other reasons than to publish and compete. Writers do not have to write for that reason. In fact, if that is the goal of the writer from the beginning, most likely that writer's not going to be very good. It has to be about the book.
Interesting.
So, yes, you go to conferences, go to workshops, go to classes, meet fellow writers, talk to them about their agents, talk to them about their publishers. It's that part of our world is the business part, the industry part, and it is like any other industry. You must network and you must do those practical things. But if you don't have the stomach for it, you need to know that.
That's it. That's very good advice indeed. Tell us, what is the highest or the happiest moment in your writing career?
Oh, my first contract. It was
great.
with Doubleday, Steve Rubin, and I received the contract when I was, I think, at a conference in Phoenix, a writing conference in Phoenix. So it came airmail to the hotel, and then we had to rush around figuring out how to get it into FedEx and read the whole thing and talk to my agent, and it was like Hollywood, you know, one of those marvelous movies about how easy it is to be a published writer. Well, it's not. It took me a long time. It takes most people a long time.
Yeah. And how do you feel about being able to do what you do?
I'm so grateful. Can't believe that I'm being paid to do something that I love. And when I get fan mail and emails from people and they tell me how much I've touched their lives, or that they've learned something in my books that they didn't know about, or they ask me, how can I find out more about this? I know that I have a relationship with people I would never have otherwise. And books are very precious to me. I've always been in awe of all authors. I used to think they were gods and goddesses, or dead. And then I became one of them. So I get this kind of information, this feedback, and I think maybe I'm making a contribution.
That's wonderful. I think you're making quite a contribution, Gayle. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's wonderful.